What is up, everybody? It was the NFC least, but today we're going to talk about the NFC East, not the least anymore. Welcome to Pass the Rock.
Could one of y'all pass the gosh darn rock? Hey, yo, I'm trying, I ain't lying, and hosting this will be Brian. He posting like Kobe Bryant, he flying to see the pilot. Hit the hezzy, we got Jesse, opinions get kinda messy. A fan of Adeleti's, from football to racing jet skis. This is Pass the Rock, don't stop the shot clock. Pass the slap shot, come on, now let's talk Pass the Rock.
Not really sure what "pass the slap shot" means, but it just rhymes, so it works out. But what is up? We're all back up after our nap from yesterday. A great Lost Tribe Sadakathon, a really great Pass the Rock episode. If you want to check that out, all over our Twitch. Had a lot of fun with some tier lists, the NFL, MLB, maybe some quarterbacks. A lot of funny moments, so check that out. Jack and Zach, how we feeling today? Going to you first, Jack.
Feeling great. Yesterday was awesome. Today's going to be awesome again, and I'm hyped to get into it.
There you go. And to really get to the NFC East, we had to bring in our friend Zach. Zach, how you doing today?
Ooh, it is a good day to be an Eagles fan. I can tell you that. I'm very excited to be talking about my Birds. Got some legends behind me, their jerseys and their numbers. I mean, I'm really excited. We had a great show yesterday. Very fun on Lost Tribe Sadakathon. But now we're here talking about my Birds. Very excited.
Where did the David Akers jersey go? When you said legends, that's where my head went first. I know you don't have a Ron Jaworski, so.
No, I don't have Jaworski yet, but he's a legend. We got McNabb and Dawkins behind me, so I think they qualify as legends just as much as David Akers does.
Look, McNabb was the best quarterback in his draft by far. Better than Achilles Smith, that's for sure, and Tim Couch. So let's get it started with a couple of quick hits. Kevin Durant to the Celtics, ? I have not played the breaking news. This is not me reporting on anything. The package talked about Jaylen Brown, Derek White, a draft pick, possibly an additional player. Jack, what do we think about the Celtics getting involved with the Durant sweepstakes?
Yeah, look, I mean, theoretically, it's good for them. You know, you bring in Kevin Durant to play alongside Jason Tatum, and like it sounds like it would work out. But I feel like your chances of getting Kevin Durant are probably not that high, with the Nets being really stingy and the rest of the league seeming to, you know, like they're sort of testing the waters, but there's a lot of teams going for him. I think that you're really pissing off Jaylen Brown right now, but by like you're like, here, take him. We'll take KD. You take one of the cores of what brought us to the finals last year. And even they're probably going to swing and miss on KD. And now maybe Jaylen Brown wants out because they're like, oh, is that what I mean to you? Right.
It's so funny because in the old days, you would never hear about a trade until the trade happened. And so, you know, players probably didn't even know their names were being discussed or whatever. Now you have to think about that. You either have to say, yeah, we're going after him, or absolutely like the Pelicans, and I forget what other team were like, we're absolutely not involved with this because we don't want to disrupt our core. Speaking as our resident NBA East expert, Zach, what do you think of this option, and how does it impact the rest of that division?
It's definitely an interesting topic. I mean, Kevin Durant asked for a trade 4 weeks ago. We still haven't seen anything major come out. We've seen like rumors of packages that were offered and rejected by the Brooklyn Nets. This one's surprisingly lacking. It feels like the Celtics are trying to, you know, get on top of like, oh, it's been 4 weeks. Maybe the value's gotten lower. As you can see, only one draft pick was included. So that was kind of surprising when I saw that. Like, Jaylen Brown's a very fine player. Not sure if he's a franchise guy. He's like, for the Celtics, he's been the 2 guy, and he's been really good in that role. So seeing this package, I was really surprised that this even made it to being reported, because it's really not a lot's being offered for 4 years of Kevin Durant. But if Kevin Durant somehow, some way stayed in this division, it would be pandemonium, because I mean, the shuffling, there's a lot of talent in the Eastern Conference. Every single team in the Eastern division of the the Atlantic division of the Eastern Conference, every single team is very talented in their own ways. So having a power shift like this, having Jason Tatum and Kevin Durant potentially playing together, that would be insane.
Yeah, it's so amazing in the NBA how you can have this. In the NFL, you'd never have teams trading within the division. I mean, can you imagine?
The only night you see that is draft night, and that's to screw over other teams in said division, which has happened. Eagles and Cowboys screwed over the Giants to get Micah Parsons and Devontae Smith.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, look, I mean, let's just keep the drama right where it belongs with the Brooklyn Nets. Kyrie wants to stay with the Nets now next season, with or without KD. If you're like following Kyrie Irving, that's your job as a journalist. I mean, do you have to fact check all these things? Like, what is it that I just, the story changes way too much. I don't get this guy. I would never want him on my team at this point, Zach.
Kyrie Irving is a complete enigma. I mean, he wins a championship with LeBron, right? With the Cavaliers as the 2 guy. Says he wants to be the 1 guy. Okay, gets traded to Boston. Now can become the 1 guy along with some young developing stars. And then even says to the Boston crowd, I will re-sign here. And then he leaves for Brooklyn. So you really don't know if Kyrie actually wants to stay at this point because, I mean, he experiences the championship. He leaves because he wants to be the guy. That one was understandable, but around young, upcoming talent, they just made a finals run. Kyrie Irving hasn't been back to the finals since leaving LeBron. So, honestly, I don't know what to think of Kyrie wanting to stay at the Nets. I think if he does, that's awesome. And really, it's not even his decision at this point. It's the Nets' decision. But if he stays, good for Kyrie. If he's traded, I'm sure Kyrie will be just fine. He'll get over his little Nets, he really wants to be on the Nets. He'll get over it. Let's be real. This is Kyrie Irving. He has a new conspiracy theory every week. I think he'll be okay leaving a basketball team.
I think it's going to be real ugly if they both start the season in Brooklyn. I just think it's going to be, and not necessarily like they'll be fighting or anything like that. I think it'll be more along the lines of just like, no, very low win percentage. I think everybody's going to be bickering, doing their own thing, and they'll blame it all on Steve Nash. But so let me go to you, Jack, with the Hornets considering reuniting with Kemba Walker. Is Kemba Walker a thing anymore?
I mean, like, it would be a good story. He's a franchise legend. And you can really say he's probably the best player in Hornets history. I mean, he's like, it's a feel good story. I wouldn't mind it as just a fan of basketball, but like, I don't really think Kemba's that much anymore. Like, I don't think he's that valuable. He was pretty terrible for the Knicks last year. And I mean, you're probably not going to have to pay him a lot. I'm sure maybe he's good for the locker room, but like, I don't think you can sign him and expect him to be a major contributor that is going to like push you to the next level as a playoff contender.
Yeah, I think all of that's right. I'm going to ask Zach, name a better Charlotte Hornet than Kemba Walker.
LaMelo Ball. It's pretty
on the team right now.
Look. I mean, right now or in history, I feel like LaMelo Ball will eventually have that same, legacy as Kemba Walker. Right now, Kemba still has like all-star appearances. But I mean, from a pure talent standpoint, I feel like LaMelo's ceiling is higher than Kemba's. So I can see LaMelo being considered the greatest Hornet of all time someday. But I mean, it's not today. It's not going to be tomorrow. It's going to be years down the line. And hopefully LaMelo stays and becomes their true franchise star. But LaMelo's got a bright future there. And I think he will go down in history as the greatest Charlotte Hornet of all time. Until maybe, I don't know, maybe Bronny James starts playing for the Hornets. Who knows? Yeah. And then maybe he'll become the greatest Hornet of all time. But right now, it's LaMelo versus Kemba. And who do we think has a higher ceiling realistically?
Alonzo Mourning, Baron Davis. I mean, come on. There's Jamal Mashburn.
All-time scorer, though. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Out of those names, Alonzo Mourning's the only one who sticks out to me. And you also forgot Larry Johnson. But
LJ, that's right. Grandma.
To be fair, Alonzo Mourning, his best years came on the Heat. All right. Larry Johnson, he's mostly well known for his Knicks days. Kemba Walker and LaMelo Ball so far are both known for their Hornets days. So right now, LaMelo is in the running to be the greatest Hornet of all time. Simply put.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think technically, if we're gonna, I know it's technically the Pelicans' history, but the greatest Hornet of all time is Chris Paul, and that's. All right. No, I get it. I didn't really expect such a deep dive into Hornets history there, but just I had to.
It's very important. What are you talking?
I had to challenge the Kemba Walker statement. So, John Mechie of the Texans, who I drafted a few weeks ago in the AFC South fantasy draft, just diagnosed with leukemia, is going to miss the upcoming season. Really terrible for him. A great receiver in college at Alabama, and I think he was going to have a real opportunity to shine this year because the Texans were never going to be in the lead. So, but good, well wishes for him. Hopefully he can recover. He seems to think it was caught pretty early, so that he'll take the season to take care of that and be back soon.
88, please be back.
Juan Soto sweepstakes. The Cardinals considered the favorites. Why are the Cardinals the favorites?
I mean, right now, there's been a lot of rumors with Juan Soto and the Cardinals trying to make a big package for him. It's just rumors, nothing really crazy right now. I mean, we all kind of expect it to be a bigger market, though. So hearing the Cardinals a lot is pretty surprising. But, I mean, imagine if they, if they send an offer that involves a lot of prospects without giving up Goldschmidt or Arenado, we could be looking at a real contender there with Juan Soto in the mix there. So, I mean, I mean, he won't be in the NL East anymore, so that would be good for me, good for a lot of other fans, including Brian, your hated Atlanta Braves. But I mean, he does still stay in the NL, which means he's still going to be competing against those teams in the playoffs. So I'm mixed on this kind of a potential Cardinals Soto deal, but right now they're the favorites. That's all the rumors have been saying.
Yeah, CBS lists the Cardinals 1, the Dodgers 2, the Padres 3 in his services. I think it just depends on who's willing to give up the farm to get him, and how and let's be real, sign him to a $500 million offer. Like, what is he? Maybe he takes a away team discount because he's just so happy to be out of Washington. But you're going to be.
And everyone said Bryce Harper was getting paid too much. Now look at Juan Soto rejecting $440 million, probably going to sign for $500 million.
That is $500 million.
He can essentially buy
the Charlotte Hornets. Then I mean, Kyler Murray got big time paid since the last time we talked, since our last Pass the Rock True episode. 5 years, $230.5 million, includes $160 million guaranteed, which is great, right? Second highest paid quarterback average behind our friend in Kansas City. His deal requires 4 years of independent film study.
4 hours.
4 years.
He
needs 4 years to catch up.
Very impressive.
4 hours of independent film study. Jack, what is that saying to your quarterback, even from Cliff Kingsbury, who loves Kyler Murray?
Yeah, I mean, it shows that they know that there's more to learn, right? He was the number 1 pick, highly touted, super athletically gifted with the strong arm, but he still has a lot more to learn in the mental game. And the Cardinals, in giving him this contract with that stipulation, what they're saying is you have the potential to be the best quarterback in the league, and you need to show that you're committed enough to get there and reach that potential. And I think the Cardinals are trying to sort of push him along that path, which I think in the long run is going to be very good for Kyler's career.
Is it going to – okay, Zach, this question goes to you in rebuttal to what Jack just said. Does it mean – is that a good step for Kyler's career, or is this a – we're trying to save your career and you have to understand the work ethic that's needed to play quarterback in the NFL in 2022?
I honestly – I think this is the funniest headline I've seen in a while, that he is required 4 hours of independent study of film for each game week. I think that's absolutely hilarious. Kind of gives me Jamarcus Russell vibes when he just did not study whatsoever. It shows that not only do the Cardinals have a lot of faith in Kyler Murray leading the team, they want him to be they have the faith in him to be a leader off of the field. They want him to improve on and off the field, and they're putting their faith in him to do so. So, I mean, the stipulation is pretty funny, but I think it's actually a really good one. I mean, it requires your quarterback to study and improve mentally at the game. So I think it's actually a really good clause, even though it is kind of silly to talk about.
Well, giving him $230.5 million, that's showing faith.
Well, yeah.
telling him he has required to do independent film study, the fact that you have to say that out loud is not faith to me. That's like, we want to make sure you understand what it takes. We want you to be more like a Drew Brees than a Jamarcus Russell, which obviously everybody would agree to, but we want you in the building. We want you focused. I don't think this says that they feel like he's there at all, or else you wouldn't have to put it in the contract. Do you think he's the face of the NFC West, let's say 3 years from now, Jack?
Yeah. Yeah, I think he absolutely has the athletic tools to do it. I mean, I've been saying literally since he got drafted that he's Lamar Jackson with an arm, which is like really insane that like we can make that comparison. And it doesn't, at least in my head, it doesn't sound too blasphemous to say that with his athletic talents. And if he actually is spending this time studying film, learning how to read defenses, like being that really like winning the game on the mental side rather than just with his physical ability, he's going to be, I'm going to be a little conservative and say a top 3 quarterback in the league. But if he's universally number 1, I wouldn't be surprised.
Wow. So I think you two, maybe it's your youth that I don't have anymore. Definitely more in the Kyler Murray camp than I am. I don't trust this guy one bit. I would take Lamar Jackson 10 times out of 10 over him. I just think Lamar Jackson has actually done more in his NFL career, even related to not counting running with the ball. And I trust him to win a Super Bowl before Kyler Murray. I don't think he's the face of the NFC West in 3 years. I think whoever Seattle drafts number 1 overall next year, that's probably who the face of the NFC West is to come. If Matt Stafford doesn't extend his playing career a little bit like Tom Brady has, but I just can't trust him. I don't think he's a bad quarterback by any means. Just what he can give you on the ground is going to elevate him definitely fantasy wise and, keep your team in games. But I definitely don't think he's a Super Bowl winner at the end of it all. Zach, back to you. Training camp.
Oh, no, I was just going to say about Kyler Murray. I mean, I think it's a very interesting conversation to have him be, face of the NFC West, potentially, face of the league. I'm actually more in your boat, Brian, about Kyler Murray. I'm not as high as him. I'm not as high on him as a lot of people are. If you actually look at his record as a starter, it's very close to Baker Mayfield's. And the Browns just gave up on Baker Mayfield. He's now quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. I like the idea with Seattle. If they do get the number 1 pick, Bryce Young could definitely be the face of the NFC West in 3 years. But if that doesn't happen and Matt Stafford eventually actually regresses, then yes, Kyler, by default can be the face of the NFC West in terms of quarterbacks. I don't think Kyler's going to be a top 3 quarterback in this league. I don't see that. Lamar is better than him. I completely agree. I would trust Lamar Jackson to get a Super Bowl before him. I would trust Jalen Hurts to get a Super Bowl before him. And that's more a statement of the Eagles versus the Cardinals than the quarterbacks themselves. But still, I don't have faith in Kyler Murray to win a Super Bowl anytime soon.
Yeah, well, we'll get to the Eagles in a second for sure. Some big quarterback battles, training camp opening for everybody this week. The Seahawks quarterback battle, the Steelers quarterback battle, or the 49ers quarterback battle.
Those are huge quarterback battles. Huge.
We're going to use Zach. Which one is the most pivotal in your eyes? Because I know what Jack's going to say.
The only one that's even remotely exciting or remotely important to me is the Steelers, because it's actually the most interesting one. Mitch Trubisky was signed for 2 years, potentially to be a starter. Kenny Pickett's a good story. Everyone likes the Kenny Pickett story in Pittsburgh. From Pitt, could be starting there. I think it's honestly, I don't know who's going to start. I think either way, it's going to be a very mediocre year for the Steelers, but that's the only battle I really care about. The 49ers, I know Jimmy G and Trey Lance are probably better of a battle, but I don't see the 49ers really competing or doing anything. And the Seahawks, while Geno Smith is a former West Virginia Mountaineer. What?
Never mind.
No, we're going to get to it. Don't worry.
Yeah, we will.
Look, while Geno Smith is a former West Virginia Mountaineer, I'm not really excited for that battle either. It's Geno Smith and Drew Lock. It's not really anything exciting there. So I'm keeping my eye on the Steelers one the most.
No, the Seahawks, that's fine. That's not a big, like I said already, I think they're going to be fighting for the first overall pick. The 49ers not being relevant, though, I think I have an issue with that. Now, I don't think there's a quarterback battle. I think they're going with Trey Lance, and I think you're going to see Garoppolo either somewhere else or holding a clipboard. But the 49ers are going to be in it in the NFC for sure. Maybe not for their division, but definitely for a wild card. Jack, your thoughts?
Yeah, I that's what I was saying. What to? I'm like, you said that the Niners are not going to be competitive. Like, I don't understand that they've proven time and time again every single year that they are in the running for the playoffs, except for that one year where they became the 49 IRs. But they they literally, I don't understand how you can say that they're not going to
My
be in the
Eagles did
running.
that too. We did that one year, and then the Ravens did it. Yeah, the 49 IR. Yeah, we did that too.
But I don't know how you could say that they're not going to be in the running given their track record. And I do think that quarterback battle is somewhat compelling because if somehow Jimmy G is the week 1 starter, that is really saying something about where they stand on Trey Lance. But I do think it ends up being Lance, and we see Jimmy G, like Brian said, either holding a clipboard or playing for another team.
Look,
but
all I'm gonna say, the quarterback battle is between Jimmy Garoppolo and North Dakota State quarterback. I do not have fond memories of North Dakota State quarterbacks. Okay, so sorry, I'm a little biased against the QB battle in San Francisco. Neither quarterback excites me. Neither quarterback has huge potential in my eyes yet. Trey Lance hasn't proven to me anything yet. He hasn't proven anything to me yet. So, look, I hope he wins the battle. I hope it's not Jimmy G. I want Trey Lance to win this quarterback battle. But I'm not too excited for whoever's going to be playing quarterback in San Francisco. That's just me.
I think that Trey Lance was built for that Kyle Shanahan offense, which is why that they spent that 3rd pick on him. And they made the effort to trade up for that 3rd pick because I think Kyle Shanahan saw the tape of Trey Lance and was like, this is my quarterback. Like, this is the quarterback that I've been building this system that has now been replicated by over half the teams in the league for. And I am so excited to see what Trey Lance does in that offense because I think at the end of the day, Trey Lance is going to end up being the best quarterback that comes out of that class.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a revelation this year. I think it's going to be. I don't think it's a quarterback battle at all. I think Jimmy G's on his way out somewhere, and Trey Lance is your quarterback, and I think you're going to see some real stuff from him. I'll probably try to stash him in a few fantasy football drafts just to see if he breaks out like a Lamar Jackson or anything similar. So let's move along. We have the NFC East preview today, and we'll get to the NFC West and break that down a little more later in the month. The NFC East, as of a couple of years ago, 8-8 could win you this division. Obviously, that's impossible now that we have 17 games. But the Cowboys had a strong year last year, 12-5. The Eagles made it to the wild card round as well at 9-8. So this division growing up a little bit, and then you also have the Commanders and the Giants. So let's start at the top, and I know it's going to hurt you for me to say this, Zach, but let's start with the Cowboys at the top. Like I said, 12-5, lost in the wild card round. No Amari Cooper, traded him away to Cleveland. What does that mean for Dak Prescott this year? Can he take the step and actually win a playoff game or even more than that, Jack, in 2022?
Yeah, I think it's possible. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I think that the Cowboys are probably going to have a similar season this year to what they had last year. I don't think the loss of Amari Cooper hurts their record too much. I'm still not a believer in Mike McCarthy. I think he's a terrible head coach. But I do like the roster's talent. I mean, I think Dak Prescott is probably at least a top 12 quarterback in the league. He's better than Kirk Cousins. I can say that much. But we've got their receiving core is still very good. CeeDee Lamb is an incredible wide receiver. Michael Gallup has shown flashes. He's been buried on the depth chart a little bit for the last couple of years, and he's been injured. But it looks like he's going to be healthy this season. And I'm excited to see him in a bigger role. I think he'll be good. Dalton Schultz is a solid tight end. Their offensive line is still solid. I mean, I don't see the Cowboys really regressing at all. So I think they're probably about the same. Maybe they win a playoff game. I don't think they win the Super Bowl, but I think that they're going to be right at the top of the division again.
All right, Zach. So Jack and I, before you jumped on, we're having a conversation about Trayvon Diggs. So is he really an elite NFL cornerback, or does he just make big plays from time to time?
My answer is really obvious here, and I'm still going to stick with it. Trayvon Diggs is the most overrated cornerback in the entire league. He really does just make big plays from time to time. Those plays are really good. They're really beneficial for the Cowboys, but he gets burned by second or third wide receivers on teams. He gets absolutely burned. He's not an elite corner. He is a below average corner, except for those big plays that he makes. And I won't deny, he makes some really good big plays that really help out the team. He got a lot of interceptions, but in coverage, he is awful. He is god-awful in man-to-man coverage. He's best in his own scheme. He's great. But in man-to-man coverage, god-awful. And also, back on Amari Cooper being lost, I was shocked at how little the Cowboys even traded him away for. But if there's one player that I am scared to face as an Eagles fan this year, it is CeeDee Lamb. I think CeeDee Lamb is going to be due for a huge breakout year as the new wide receiver 1 for the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott gets a really good wide receiver 1 now in CeeDee Lamb. I really think he's a breakout candidate, and I might actually have to take him in some fantasy drafts, which kind of pains me, but he might.
We'll see if you take him in the NFC East fantasy draft coming up soon.
If I have to take him, I have to.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll do what's best for your team. Really quickly, one last question on the Cowboys, and we'll move on to the Eagles. Jack, yes or no only. Is Trayvon Diggs the best Diggs?
Absolutely not. No.
Who's a better Diggs?
What?
Who's the better Diggs?
It's Stephon.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Stephon is absolutely the better Diggs.
Stephon would literally burn Trayvon. Stephon would burn him.
Yeah,
I think they played last year too, or maybe not. No, because the Bills played the Saints.
That was what it was all about.
All right, so let's move on to the Eagles. Zach, obviously, I'm going to start with you. Second in 2021, 9-8, lost in the wild card round. Can we put our trust in Jalen Hurts? No excuses this year. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. Maybe there's a running game besides him as well. What can we trust him this year?
We can absolutely trust him this year. I believe we can absolutely trust Jalen Hurts this year. The system is finally built around him. Last year, rookie head coach, first-time starter, 9-8, make it to the playoffs. That's pretty impressive for a first-year head coach and a first-year starter. Plus, we didn't have A.J. Brown. We had no true wide receiver 1. Devontae Smith was a rookie last year. Not a true wide receiver 1, unproven. Now he's a wide receiver 2, along with a top 10 wide receiver in the game today. Plus, Dallas Goedert is a great safety valve tight end. Eagles systems have always valued their tight ends. Running back core is pretty good with Miles Sanders and Kenneth Gainwell back there. We have the top-ranked offensive line in the league. There really is no situation where Jalen Hurts, this year's MVP, is going to fail. He is not going to fail this year.
Okay, really quick question for Jack.
This is an MVP season.
Only Jack can answer this.
For Jalen Hurts.
Only Jack can answer this. Jack, better chance at an MVP, Jameis Winston or Jalen Hurts?
Jameis.
I'm going to quit the show. I'm going to quit the show. I swear to God. I'm going to quit this show. I swear to God.
I say that simply.
You don't have to quit the show.
I think that the upside of Hurts and Jameis is pretty similar this year, and I believe in the Saints offense more than I do the Eagles. That's the way.
This was not scripted, by the way. Not scripted at all.
No.
Let's move on and talk about James Bradberry, something really exciting. Moving, the guy just can't get enough of the NFC East, right? So, Zach, give us the breakdown. What does this Eagles defense look like, and how does James Bradberry fit in there?
I really like the James Bradberry signing. He was a clear cornerback 1 for the Giants. Now he's our clear cornerback 2 for the Eagles because we have an elite cornerback in Darius Slay. So I'm very excited to see that pairing. Our linebacker core got, very much improved this offseason. We also, we drafted Nakobe Dean. Pretty much a sleeper pick, depends on his health, that he'll be that good. Defensive line, as good as always, known as one of the best D-lines in the league for years and years. Can't deny that. And the only real question right now is safety, and we have Avonte Maddox, up-and-coming prospect back there. That's the only real question I have about this Eagles defense coming from a fan is the safety position. But other than that, it looks overall solid. Maybe a question here or there for the linebacking group because we've been struggling with linebackers. But safety is my only real concern for this Eagles defensive unit. Other than that, it's pretty solid around the, all around the board.
If Zach hasn't quit the show yet, I can't wait till we make our predictions for this division. Moving on to the Commanders, third place in 2021. They were the team with no name, obviously, last year. 7-10. This one's to Jack. Is Carson Wentz or Tyler Heineke the better starter? Who would you start if you were the coach there?
I think it's a miserable situation to be in, that those are your two options. I feel so bad for Ron Rivera because I really do respect him as an NFL head coach. And I feel so bad that that's a decision that he has to make. But I think I would go with Carson Wentz. I mean, Taylor Heineke is really not very good. Carson Wentz has not been very good. But I guess the argument is that Carson Wentz was the second overall pick for a reason. And at his peak, he had an MVP level season. But he's just been so bad recently that it's hard to trust him. But I think you have to shoot for the upside in Wentz.
Well, here's the deal, though. We can't feel bad for Ron Rivera. They went and got Wentz. Yeah, it's not like he was a free agent or anything. So It amazes me that the Colts got out of that contract the way they did. So they go, I wouldn't say all in on Wentz, but pretty big on Wentz to get him from the Eagles. And then they get to somehow trade him away after he looked like absolute garbage last year. And it's just amazing that they were able to do that. I don't know what you're going after if you're I almost called them the old name, the Commanders. But I love Taylor Heineke against Carson Wentz. Not saying this guy's a great quarterback by any means, but he gives you a little heart. That's the thing you don't get out of Wentz. There's no heart there. You don't feel like he's cares at all. But going to you, Zach, Terry McLaurin is on my do not draft list this year. I've gotten burned with him the last 2 years. I'm asking you, as a person that grew up in the NFC East, does Terry McLaurin cheat us again in fantasy, or does he somehow, now that he has his contract, have some success?
Honestly, I don't think the contract matters. It's more the quarterback play than anything else. I mean, you're asking him to be receiving from Carson Wentz this year, who I think will be the starter pretty easily. I mean, Carson Wentz, for all his faults, is still a decent NFL quarterback. Decent is being used very liberally today. But I really don't think I probably wouldn't draft Terry McLaurin because of the starting quarterbacks, available for them. I don't even think you can't really say that he's going to be cheating you if really no one's throwing to him that's good. So, the past couple of years, they haven't really had good quarterback play either. So it just sounds like you're a sore loser about Terry McLaurin.
But I am a sore loser because he's been ranked in the top 6 to 8 and just never delivered. Cooper Kupp.
Keep trusting it while looking at that quarterback board.
I do, and that's why I'm not doing it anymore, because they got worse at quarterback by trading for Carson Wentz, who is not a decent NFL quarterback. Moving on to the Giants, there's a lot of players on offense that are like on their last chance. Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, Kenny Golladay, who just decided not to play NFL football anymore. And then Kadarius Toney. So I'm going to go to you, Zach. Which one of those four has the biggest opportunity this year to succeed?
I actually think it's Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones hasn't been awful for the Giants. Last year, his weapons were struggling and the offense, of course, was struggling against the Giants, but he didn't look absolutely terrible. I think there's still upside with Daniel Jones for the Giants offense. Saquon Barkley spent most of the year hurt, which really sucks, but running backs and injuries never mix well together. Kenny Golladay and Kadarius Toney each finished the year with less touchdowns than Eagles offensive lineman Lane Johnson, who scored 1, which is kind of crazy that he even did his first of his career. So I'm just saying, I can see the improvement from the wide receiver group, but Daniel Jones is going to be the one throwing to them, and he's going to be the reason that they improve. So I think he's got the biggest upside going into 2022.
All right, same question to you, Jack. Which of those four players do you think has the biggest opportunity to step up, be relevant for fantasy, but just in general in the NFL, just be successful?
Yeah, so I agree with Zach's pick. I would take Daniel Jones, but for a completely different reason. I don't think it has to do with Daniel Jones at all. I think it's Brian Daboll. I was so excited when they hired Brian Daboll because that man has been deserving of a coaching job for years and just hasn't gotten it. And the Giants hit it out of the park hiring him. That guy, he made Josh Allen. Josh Allen is the quarterback that he is, a top 5 quarterback, pushing top 3, incredible quarterback because of Brian Dable. And if anyone can make Daniel Jones into a competent NFL quarterback, it would be him. So I'm excited to see what Dable does with him. And if not, I'm excited to see what Dable does with whoever the next guy is. But I think the guy that has the biggest chance to succeed and prove himself this year is absolutely Daniel Jones in that new offense.
Yeah, look, I mean, he's got the same weapons he had last year, and I don't trust him to utilize them. Of course, Kenny Golladay, like I said earlier, just walked off the face of the earth. I mean, he was a very scary player in Detroit, and somebody that you'd at least have to cover as opposed to last year. Saquon Barkley can't stay healthy. I'd like to put my trust there because of what he showed in his first 2 years before he tore his ACL. And, he's just been tough. So the Giants I do think Daniel Jones has shown that he can play in this league, at least, mid-level quarterback as far as ranking them 1 through 32. But I worry about those options that he has. I think Kadarius Toney gives him a lot, but it's like eventually they roll coverage one way, and you can take him out the game, and then you got to hope Kenny Golladay can get open, which it doesn't seem can happen. So there's a lot of ugliness at the bottom of this division. Still the NFC least in a little bit of the pieces there. Let's get to our final standings predictions first, really quickly. Before we give our final standings, each of you, yes or no, or over under 1.5 playoff teams from this division, Jack?
Oh, that is kind of tough. I think I'm going to cautiously take the over just because I think that the Eagles sneak in there as like a 7 seed, like a wild card team, but it's like very cautious because I could see them missing the playoffs and they're only being one.
Zach?
I'm going to go under because I think the Cowboys are going to disappoint us. I think the Eagles are going to clearly make it in. They're going to win the division. And I think the Cowboys are going to just miss in the wild card race.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. They're going to be in that group of teams right at the 7. Whoever loses this division.
I do think whoever ends up in second place in this division, whether it be the Eagles or the Cowboys, they will be fighting hard for a wild card spot regardless.
Yeah, right. Because you got the Bucks, Packers, Rams, Cardinals, Saints, maybe. And then you have these 2 teams, and then you have maybe the Vikings, maybe the 49ers, maybe a team we're not mentioning. Daniel Jones has a 40 touchdown year.
Daniel Jones is the MVP now. He's the MVP.
Exactly. So, all right, give me your top 4. Your rankings of this division, Jack. I'll start with you, just so that there's a little bit of uncertainty about who you might pick.
Yeah. So my 4th place is the Commanders. I think that they're disgusting. Their defense is like competent, but their quarterback situation is just so gross that I don't trust them at all. I have the Giants in 3rd because of Brian Dable and how much I believe in him and his offense. And I think that that's enough to put them ahead of the Commanders, but not anywhere farther than that. 2nd, I have the Eagles. I'm not the biggest Jalen Hurts fan. I think he has upside. I don't think that he's this quarterback that everyone's hyping him up to be just yet. But you never know. Maybe he takes a step and the Eagles are a very good team because they do have good surrounding pieces. But I'm going to take the safe pick and take the Cowboys in 1st place because Dak Prescott, in my opinion, has proven himself to be a quarterback that can at least take the team to the playoffs. And I think in this division, that's enough.
I love that the Cowboys are a safe pick. That's just funny. I'm gonna go next. I'm gonna let Zach go last.
The Cowboys being a safe pick to make the playoffs is a very funny take.
I agree with you, Jack. I think the Commanders are last and the Giants are 3rd. I think the Giants take a step up. I think they find a little success, whether it's Kadarius Toney or you get Saquon Barkley back more, closer to 100%. Daniel Jones doesn't lose too many games for you. I think they can come in 3rd. The Commanders, their uniforms are terrible. Their quarterbacks are terrible. There's no good fantasy options. Their defense is not terrible, but they're not unbelievable either. And I'm going to go with Zach on this one. What I presume Zach will say. I think the Cowboys are in second. I think they implode a little bit. We haven't talked about Ezekiel Elliott, who really had a down year last year. I think he's a picture perfect disgruntled running back. If he doesn't get his touches or he doesn't get his touchdowns or whatever early on, I could see him blowing this team up a little bit. I think they end up in second, missing the playoffs. The Eagles win the division. I think Jalen Hurts takes a step up. He's nowhere near Jameis Winston, but he does what he can. And they get the division championship. And one team makes it from this division. I don't think it's more than one. Either way you slice it. Zach, to you.
Well, I'm going to go with both of you on my bottom two in the same order. Commanders, I think they are the worst team in this division. They have the worst owner in sports. They have the worst uniforms in the NFL right now, especially that god-awful secondary helmet and secondary uniform. God-awful. But I don't really see the Commanders making much noise this year. Probably going to lose a win or two from last year. The Giants, they got upside, as Jack was saying, with the hire. And Daniel Jones has an opportunity. Hopefully the wide receiver group figures it out. I think the battle for last in the NFC East might be closer than we think, though. I think it's still going to be like a game or two difference. Second place, I have the Cowboys. I'm not going to deny the Cowboys are still a good team, but they're just not, they're not up there for me. Maybe it's because I'm biased. It is because I'm biased, but, I'm not going to deny it. Dak Prescott's a very good quarterback, but they don't have as many, losing Amari Cooper is still losing an important weapon for this team. CeeDee Lamb needs to step up to be that wide receiver one and, hasn't done that as of today. I think he will, but he hasn't done that as of today. So, there's upside for the future, just not this year because it's the Eagles' year. We're going to win the NFC East. We're going to make it to the playoffs. It's going to be a very fun season for the Eagles, hopefully. And you never know. Dark horse contender, I think. Dark horse. I'm not that crazy. I'm not saying we're a lock or anything. I think we're a dark horse contender. I think we're a dark horse.
Step away from the Kool-Aid. So we're gonna get to.
It's good. It's good.
We're gonna get to our total playoff predictions in a couple of weeks when we get through all the divisions. Super Bowl contenders. We'll have Jesse back by then as well to hear a little bit from him on that. One thing I want you to know about the NFC East: every time my Saints on Madden play the Eagles are playing in their Kelly Green uniforms. Okay, don't give me this newfangled black
Next year they will be back. Next year they're going to be back.
Let's hope so.
Very excited to see.
Jack, back to you. Are any of these teams Super Bowl contenders?
No, I don't think so. I think that the Eagles are the only one with, like Zach said. Zach said they're a dark horse. I think that dark horse is an understatement. I think they're like the darkest of dark horses. But if Jalen Hurts somehow just takes a crazy step forward and becomes an elite level quarterback, which I don't think he will, but if he does,
he will.
I think that the Eagles maybe could. I don't think the Cowboys
will, and we're going to look back at this episode and say, wow, Zach was so right about the Eagles. He was so right. We're going to look back at this episode.
We won't, but that's a good thought. Good thought. So let's get to the fun, the NFC East only fantasy draft. So the past couple of weeks, we've had a lot of fun. We did the AFC South. I forget who we did the first. I guess we did the NFC South the first week.
Yeah.
So, again, just to remind everyone, we each take 4 players, a quarterback, a running back, a wide receiver, and a flex. I think this division, my prediction, there might be at least some thought about the tight end, unlike last week. It'll be interesting also with this division, backup running backs, just throwing that out there. So, I have Zach drafting first. You have not drafted first as of yet, correct?
No, I drafted first the first time we did this.
Oh, you did. So, Jack, you haven't drafted first then.
No, I did last time. You have it.
Oh, right.
So I drafted second last time. So I guess it's going to – no, I drafted third last time. So I guess it's Brian.
I think it's Brian, Zach, and then me.
And
yes. Okay. Right. Gotcha. Perfect. Okay. So I get the first pick. I'm just writing down our picks here so we can make fun of you all later. Okay. Looking at this running back group, I really want nothing to do with it. I'll be honest. Not from a first round draft pick. Okay. I'm going to go 0 running back to start. And it's really between AJ Brown and CeeDee Lamb. And I really like better what the Cowboys have opposite CeeDee Lamb to draw a little coverage away from him for him to get some better stats than A.J. Brown this year. So give me CeeDee Lamb with my first pick.
Ooh.
Interesting.
He falls right into my lap. I'm with you, Brian. There's really not a lot to love about this running back group right now. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott, might be a post-hype sleeper, but not for this first round here. Miles Sanders had a disappointing year in fantasy last year. Saquon Barkley is even there with his legs and getting injured and everything. I hope he gets better, but not really good for fantasy right now. And then whoever's running for Washington is just whatever. So I'm going to take A.J. Brown. Very excited to have him alongside Devonta Smith, who I'm representing today on my jersey. I think A.J. Brown coming over, I mean, he's the clear wide receiver 1, but Devonta Smith, being alongside him is definitely going to draw some coverage away. So I think he's a really good pick here for the first round.
I think A.J. Brown has a good year, not a great year. I think that, he's based on the last couple of years, he's been injured, here and there. And I don't think he has a bad year. Don't get me wrong. But I like CeeDee Lamb a little better on that one. Going to you, Jack, for the third pick.
Yeah, this puts me in a little bit of a pickle here. I think the right move. I don't want to go Terry McLaurin. That's the best receiver on the board. I don't want that. I'm going to take the risk on Saquon Barkley. I'm going to hope he stays healthy. Because if he does stay healthy, that's a steal. But I mean, he just has not shown that's in his track record too. But I'm going to take that chance. I'll take
big risk, but it's a good pick.
I'll take the risk. And then my second pick, I think I have to go quarterback here because there's only 2 that are appetizing for fantasy in this division, and I don't want to be stuck with the third option. And I've got a little ways to wait until my next pick. So I'm gonna go for the upside. I don't like him that much in real life, but for fantasy, he's phenomenal. I'm gonna take Jalen Hurts.
Oh wow,
that's a beautiful pick.
Oh wow.
I don't think it's even
Jack. That is a great pick you just made. That's an amazing pick you just made for the best quarterback in the division. Amazing pick.
Well, he's not the best quarterback in the division in real life, but for fantasy, he is.
I think for fantasy he is just because of the rushing yards.
For sure.
Him and Dak actually had very similar fantasy numbers last year. I think they were ranked like 8 and 9 respectively in fantasy rankings last year. So they were both very good options for fantasy.
All right, actually, back to you, Zach.
Yeah, I'm continuing my rant because it's my turn.
Okay, good.
There was one league in fantasy where Dak Prescott was the last good quarterback available, so I took him, and then in week 8 I swapped him in a trade for Jalen Hurts, and I still finished like top 3 in the league. So good move by me. Both quarterbacks are really good though. And honestly, there's not really a lot to love here on the board, so I am also going to go quarterback. Unfortunately, Jack did take the guy that I would normally want and take, but I'll go with the second best quarterback on the board. The second best quarterback in this division, I'll go with Dak Prescott.
I am so glad that you both fell for my ruse here to take the quarterbacks early. Take them all you want. Me and Danny Dimes are just going to hang out in the 4th round. I can pull him now. So unless one of you is going to draft him with your flex spot. So I think it's a beautiful, beautiful pick. Okay, back to me. I have CeeDee Lamb. I hate to, load up on the same team. Okay, so I'm not going to do that. I can't trust Terry McLaurin. So I'm going to trust Devonta Smith to be my flex.
That was going to be my pick for the next round. I was thinking.
You don't say.
That's a good pick. It's a good pick.
I think it's a great pick. I think he provides the speed that A.J. Brown won't. And I think he's just going to be open tons of just so much more than he was last year. So give me him. I'm going to save Danny Dimes for the end. So now I got to pick a running back. I have Ezekiel Elliott. I have Tony Pollard, and I really don't know which one I should pick. Tony Pollard was such money last year when Zeke was out. I don't like to trust Zeke on this point. I can't trust Miles Sanders. I can't trust Antonio Gibson, even though I'd like to. He's got J.D. McKissick behind him. I'm obviously not going Matt Breida. So give me Zeke, and I'll just take a chance that it's not going to be a total explosion in the Dallas locker room this year, and I'll go with Zeke.
It's a good pick. That's a good pick, honestly. I mean, hopefully there is no explosion that you're talking about. There's two guys I'm thinking about right now. I have my quarterback. I have my wide receiver. I can get a running back or a flex. I got two guys in my head. You already know they're both Eagles, though. Miles Sanders just does not have a lot of upside right now. I think I can wait for a running back. So I'm going to go with the guy that David Akers, your favorite legend, Brian, he announced his draft pick in Dallas. His name is Dallas. Dallas Goedert is my pick here in the third round as a tight end.
The pick is in. All right, a tight end. First tight end off the board. Now to you, Jack.
Man,
Jack, just so everybody knows, Jack's building on Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts.
Zach is a popular man.
Too many calls.
Yeah, I'm really in a tough spot here. Because,
Exactly. It was a trade.
Oh, man. Yeah, this spot is really difficult for me because my gut tells me to stay away from the Commanders, but the best options on the board are probably from the Commanders. So I'm gonna bite the bullet and do it. It's disgusting, but I need to. I'm gonna take Terry McLaurin. I think that all in all, he is the best receiver available, and hopefully he doesn't completely disappoint as he always does in fantasy. But I'll trust his talent because he is very talented. And I guess I'm going to take Antonio Gibson to be my flex because I think he's better than Miles Sanders. So, I'm taking two Commanders.
Right.
I hate that it has to happen.
It's so 2018 to go two running backs in the first four rounds, but, you do you.
Oh, man, that's a good point. Terry McLaurin in the third round, though, I think that's good value considering what we have here. There's really not a ton. But, of course, I'm going Miles Sanders. I'm going for the post-hype sleeper. I mean, he got a lot of attention last year in fantasy, being like, oh, he could be really good. Getting, drafted in, the second, third round last year. Post-hype sleeper, I think. I think he has decent upside in a bolstered system right now. So give me Miles Sanders to be my running back. So 3 Eagles and the second best quarterback in this division. Not bad for me.
Yeah, you say not bad, but I think I'm running laps around both of you with this draft. So Ezekiel Elliott and CeeDee Lamb, the top 2 options in the Dallas offense. Devonta Smith, which is going to prove to be the best receiver for the Eagles. And then I got the best quarterback in this division by far, Danny Dimes. All right. He's going to outrush Jalen Hurts. He's going to outpass Dak Prescott. And he's going to be your division MVP. Okay, so give me Daniel Jones. We're going to ride that train. I didn't have to worry about picking him early. I just waited, let him come down to me, and here we go with a championship.
Oh, my God.
Man.
You're
It looks like age is really messing with Brian's head today.
Yeah. Age is all good. Experience is what matters, all right? Let you guys fight over what looks to be the most appetizing scraps and take the real championship stuff late.
They are my birds. They're always appetizing. I love my birds. What can I say?
No, that's the first time that Daniel Jones has ever been called the real championship stuff.
That's right. Exactly. Well, look, this was a lot of fun. Next week, we have the AFC East. So we get to finally talk about the most accurate quarterback in the NFL, Tua Tagovailoa. We also have the Patriots. We also have the Bills, definite potential for Super Bowl contenders, and the New York Jets. So join us again next week. It was a lot of fun. Stay tuned throughout the week. Check out our Twitter at Lost Tribe Sports. We're live tweeting every night, whatever's going on that night. And one more take maybe later this week, a little competition between Zach and Jack. Can't wait to see what that's about. But thanks again for joining us. This has been Pass the Rock, and we will see you next week.